Hi, friends. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our Tuesday Dream Team Chat, the last one for April, which is so exciting because we're getting into May, and May is going to pop off our summer festivities in the Scentsy world and in our families and in our home lives, kids' home, all the things. And Scentsy family reunion is coming up. So we just have like the busyness is upon us, but also like the relaxing and rejuvenating and all the things. We're super pumped for what May is bringing. We kind of just went over some things in our housekeeping. But tonight we are closing out April with just a little bit of a recap and some nuggets that I wanted to come share with you. Just more of my heart. On the heels of coming home from Superstar Director Summit, which Alex just did a really great introduction of it, and we were not recording. No, it's okay. Repeat. So Superstar Director Summit just ended. I got home on Saturday. This is Tuesday. And it was Tuesday to Saturday, and it was just such an amazing time. So, for those of you who don't know, Superstar Director Summit is basically a coming together of all the top leaders in Scentsy. So these are the people who have hit the top level of the compensation plan. And so they are invited to come most of the time to home office or Willow Bridge, which is very close to home office, and come spend a few days learning training, one-on-one training with home office and really getting to connect with them. But then also like networking, encouraging, collaborating, and just building relationships with other superstar directors. Because especially in this season, what I have found is that like my head has like me and Alex work so closely together, and so this connection is always good. But I put my head down and I get to work, and I'm only focused on you guys and our team and what we're doing. And so I am not very good at like branching out and looking at what other people are doing, just because I have been known to have like imposter syndrome a little bit and feel like I'm not doing enough because I want to do it all. And so Superstar Director Summit is really great because when you're in person with them or when you're in person with leaders in general, they do a really good job at reminding you that like, whoa, hold on, you don't have to do what I'm doing. You can just continue doing what you're doing, but like, let's collab, let's talk about what's working for you, what's not working for you. And we kind of just come together that way. So for me, it is always so fulfilling. It always fills my cup to be able to come together with them and spend those days connecting with them and just uh, creating value together in our businesses. And like leadership can be really difficult, and especially all through the steps of the compensation plan, but at the very top there are some things that make it a little bit more complicated and just things that we have to look out for. And we are the front line for home office to the field, and so that can bring some complications or some just complex things that we like to come together and just talk about. So home office invites us to the home office staff, Dan, all of them invite us to come to home office, which is in Meridian, Idaho. And so we got to spend the first day in at Willow Bridge, which is this beautiful event center that Heidi and Orville have created. And it literally is like a lakeside oasis, you guys. The event center is absolutely gorgeous. It has kitchens. I just learned that it has bedrooms.
Oh, wow.
And so it's got bedrooms, bathroom. I mean, it's just a beautiful event center. And then it looks out on this lake, and it's got this huge like seating area outside. And so we got to spend the first day at Willow Bridge, and we got to hear from Dan. We got to hear from other superstar directors in talking specifically about recruiting, which was really amazing. Recruiting and sponsoring and their advice and their tidbits and their pieces of information that were really helpful. And then let's see, we got to do a lot of networking. We got to see some new things that are coming, and some ideas from home office about where they feel like the trajectory of our business is going, which was really great to hear about. But then Scentsy spoiled us at the end of the night by they know that we love like super exclusive things, and we love being able to create our own memorabilia to take home with us. And so Scentsy gave us the option to create our own piece of clothing to take home and design however we want. Basically, they gave us these like vinyl stickers that had like superstar director summit, It had like stars and hearts, and they let us pick any sweatshirt, hoodie, t-shirt, tank top, whatever we wanted. We could pick, and we could heat press these stickers on and design our own clothing to represent this Superstar Director Summit. So that was super special to all of us. We were so appreciative, and we just really thought like, okay, cool. Like we're here to collab and do all these things, and we're already getting spoiled, and we would have been good with just that. But then the next day, on Thursday, they took us up into the mountains, into the Idaho mountains. I don't know what mountains they are. I cannot tell you any details, could not tell you how to get there. I had to take Dramamine because it was like a windy road up there. And I'm just happy I didn't puke because I get super motion sickness. But they took us up into this mountain. And what they didn't tell us, which at the time I was like, you little stinker bugs. But at the time, or what they didn't tell us, was that we had absolutely no Wi-Fi and no service up in these mountains. And some people were like losing their minds a little bit, but the reality of it is what it did was open up an entire day for us to just connect. And we were not on our phones except if we were taking pictures. And they had provided a bunch of activities at this place called the Lazy R Ranch. And so we got the opportunity to either go horseback riding, we got to go hiking, we got to just chill at this beautiful barn. They gave us like this huge grazing table of food. We had lunch together. What else did we do? Oh, they had like friendship bracelets there. And there was like no training from home office. I think Dan spoke, like he addressed the room like for 2 minutes, and then that was it. And then home office was like mingling with us, and we were sitting down and having roundtable discussions. And it was just, it was a beautiful day. They were telling us that it was going to be super cold. So a bunch of us were like bundled up, like we were going to freeze to death. But truly, it was like the sun was shining. And if I'm being honest, it was my favorite day because I don't spend enough time just completely unplugged. And that was the time to do it because I literally had no option. And sometimes you have to force yourself to like stay unplugged and to really connect with the people around you. And so it was such a beautiful day of just connecting. But since he wasn't done with us then, they, every Superstar Director Summit that I've been to, and I've been told that this is a regular thing. This is what they always do. When you go to home office for Superstar Director Summit, in some form or fashion, they let you pick a prototype warmer from a room, or they bring them out. And last year they did like a white elephant style warmer thing, which was super fun, but it took forever because there was like 275 of us doing a white elephant exchange where you can like steal from people.
Yeah.
So it literally was like 5 hours long. Like it was so long. But this year they did it differently, and they just kind of randomly generated times for all of us. And so then there was like a group of 9 of us that got to go and pick the warmer, and you had like 10 minutes to pick. And that was super great. It was really great for me. I'm not gonna lie. I was in group 2.
Oh, heck
So
yeah.
like
That's
I was
nice.
like, I'm going in. I know what warmer I'm getting. But it was really great. So you get to pick a prototype warmer. You get to pick a one of a kind, never to be replicated, sold. It's the only one of its kind. Some of them are similar to ones that we have because they were like playing with the shape or playing with the colors. But truly, like you look at the warmers and you're like, wow, that is so cool. Yeah, actually, Jennifer, Eldon was like, we're not doing it. I promise it's not by registration. Like he made it a point to be like, that's not how we're doing it this year. So anyway, so we got to take home a warmer, and it's such a sweet, sweet moment. That is one of my favorite activities for sure, because it just represents the summit. It represents that time together, and just how special Scentsy wants you to feel. And so that was great. And then we came home from the mountains. I went to a concert, but that's neither here nor there. And then the next day, we got to go to home office, and that was like a full-on training day. So Scentsy did a lot of like hands-on, we're going to show you some new things that we've got going on. You're going to go into different breakouts, and we got to pick which ones we were most excited about. So we got to learn about some new changes coming to the PWS, and talking about what other things? Oh shoot. Scentsy Club, just different areas of our business that you had home office right there. And so they were telling you what they were thinking was going on, but they wanted to hear from us. And I can't, if you haven't gotten here on your own yet in your thought process, let me just remind you, Scentsy cares literally so much about us that I've just never heard of any other company that takes not just the top leaders, but consultants alike, right? Because if you spend any time with home office, they are asking you what you think, what your thoughts are, but truly sitting down with their people, with the field, and saying, what is going on? How can we help you? Okay. And that was the theme of this Superstar Director Summit, which was, I think, my favorite summit of all, because I was looking at it from like a servant mindset. Like my heart's been on the serving side of how can I serve my team? How can I serve my family, community, blah, blah, blah. So I was looking at home office going, oh my gosh, they're like servanthood is on display here, and
Mm.
everything that they did, it was so evident how much they cared, how much they loved us, all of us. And it was so incredibly special. So Friday was really amazing. But my favorite part of Friday was that night they took us back over to Willowbridge, and they had it was funny because we were like most of us not dressed appropriately for what we thought dinner was gonna look like.
Yeah.
Like, we were, like, in leggings and, like, t-shirts and whatever because we thought we were just chilling at home office, but then we go back to Willowbridge, and they have, like, a beautiful five-star, three-course meal planned for us, decorated tablecloths and candles and just, like, a gorgeous I mean, they had blown up, like, these beautiful clear, like, balloon-looking things and, like, strung them, like, they had done more
Wow.
decorations than when we had been there previously. And when I say Scentsy wined and dined us, I don't even think that covers it. Like it was, we went and took a picture out on the beach and then they let us in, and it was just like a beautiful setup.
Mm.
And so we go to tables, we sit down, and home office finds empty chairs at the tables. And that's the thing is like home office isn't sitting at a table with each other.
Mhm.
Like home office is finding, oh, is this seat empty? Can I sit there? And I didn't see more than one or two home office at every table, pretty much at every empty seat at least. And so we see them sit down, and so we're like, cool, we're gonna have like dinner together. And then a couple minutes goes by and you see home office pop up, all of them popped up from their tables, and they had these aprons, and they put on these aprons and they walk back towards the kitchen, and then they start serving us our dinner. And they served, we had salad, and then we had dinner, and then we had dessert. And they were coming around taking our plates, they were refilling our waters, they were bringing us our drinks, they were making sure the tables were cleared, and they did not sit down until we were totally done. Like they did not eat until we were totally done. So they did not sit down to eat until we were satisfied. And when Alex knows this, I'm not a crier. Most of you, or some people who've been around me, I'm not a crier for the most part. I don't cry very often. I spent majority of my time at Summit crying, um, because I was just so emotional and so overwhelmed by like the love and the support and the way that they serve on such like a genuine basis.
Mhm.
And so I cried most of the dinner. It was delicious. It was so good. But I cried. I cried
Aw.
a lot. And so it was great. It was such a beautiful dinner. But all of Summit put together, there are some key takeaways that I just wanted to bring to you tonight, and I want us to go deeper into it as the month goes on, or I may go live, or I may share some things, and I just want you guys to be thinking about this training and like these points because I'm not going to go into too much detail about like each thing and like what we can be doing. Again, this is just meant to be a little bit of a recap, but I just wanted you guys to hear my heart and the recap of what Summit was and the impact it has because um as you embrace these moments and these events that home office gives you and these opportunities, the closer you get to investing value into this company and
Mhm.
investing more of who you are, and it just really ties you together, and it makes it more than just like this is your wax and warmer business,
Mhm.
and 99% of the SSDs that are there are not here for the money. Like, yes, the money's nice, like a lot of them will be like, yeah, no, I got to pay my bills and this pays my bills. But like 99% of them would be like, I'm here for the community.
Mhm.
I'm here for the connection. I'm here because I've never been a part of something like this before and I can't imagine walking away. And that's how I feel. Like
Mhm.
I could not imagine walking away like
Yeah.
and not having that kind of experience or not having those kind of
Mhm.
conversations or people or just that it's absolutely incredible and it's one of those things like if you've ever experienced this in your life maybe without Scentsy, like a moment that you just wish you could like bottle up and just like take with you and just like remember forever like
Mm.
that's this summit for me like that's this moment that's these memories that I'll have forever. um and so it's so special and I want to try to, but it's hard because it's like I'm the only one bringing this here, but like I want to so badly recreate those moments, those attributes that I experienced to our team and to our culture. And we already have a really like solid culture. So this is not coming out like we have to do some drastic makeover because a lot of what I see on display at home office or whatever are things that I see quality wise here.
Mhm.
And I just want to help empower you guys to continue to grow those qualities and to continue to step into them and do whatever I can to help connect you more to the purpose that Scentsy has for you, which goes far beyond the wax and warmers. Okay. So, getting into that, the first day, no, not the first day, it was Friday, I believe. Deb Bowden, most of you know who she is. She is hands down one of the most eloquent speakers I have ever
She
heard.
is.
She has this magical way of keeping you engaged and bringing you information that's relevant, that's impactful. She
Mhm.
is so smart. She I don't know that she ever stops reading or learning. Like she just has so much to give. And she comes from such a fascinating background of business and all the things. So I love listening to Deb talk. Her talk on culture absolutely blew me away because culture is a big deal in Scentsy. Scentsy takes their culture very seriously. And if you've ever been a part of a direct sales company or even just like the business world, you understand how deeply culture can affect a
Mhm.
company negatively or positively. Right. And
Yeah.
so culture is something that they really protect at all costs.
Mhm.
And so she kind of, and this is very, very deeply summarized, you guys, but she talks about that culture requires a trust slash belief and in what the purpose is. Okay. And so it's that trust and slash belief and the purpose moving towards the common goal. Right. And so it's this idea. I don't remember who said it first, but it gets talked about a lot in Scentsy where it's the rising tide lifts all boats. And I'm sure you guys have heard that before. But the truth of the matter is that if we are all moving towards the same purpose with a trust and a belief in this company and in the people who are heading it, um, then we are all going to create the wave that lifts all of us up closer to our individual goals, right? Because if we're here for bettering each other, empowering each other, helping so and so reach this goal of um, supporting their family or supporting their husband or paying off this debt or whatever, if we are all moving towards whatever end goal that supports us all, it's going to help all of us reach it,
Mhm.
whatever they are individually. Okay. And so she really like dug into those attributes that represent the bigger picture, which is our culture. And to me, that spoke volumes because I see in certain areas of Scentsy where leaders or consultants have become very lax in protecting the culture. We have become very, and I'm saying we collectively, not you guys necessarily or any specific person, but just there are people who are being left behind because we've gotten lax because COVID was so draining to a lot of us. And I think that's a big part of it is that we've
Mhm.
come from hyper growth to now what we are establishing as a newer normal, but also like trust and believe. I think we will experience a hyper growth 3.0, and we need to figure out how we're going to get there and how we're
Mhm.
going to get there with a strong and solid culture behind
Mhm.
us. Right. We have to have that in tow. And so right now we are in a season where we can do a whole lot with what we have. And that includes doing what we can to preserve and to empower and enlighten the culture that we have created already, that Heidi and Orville have set forth to create, that Dan has done a really great job of um, putting high value on the last 3 years, right? And has done a really good job at moving us closer to that goal the last 3 years. And the leadership is just so good at home office, you guys. So home office really came to us about culture and said, how can we help you guys on the field continue to drive forward what our mission is for culture? And we got to tell them, like, this is what we see, this is how we feel. And they're looking at ways of like, how can we help you? How can we support you? Right. And it's funny because I'm like sitting here talking about this, and I feel like some of you may not even know that there's like a slightly negative shift in culture because, you know, me and Alex, for whatever reason, have decided. I mean, we do have reasons, but like we have decided that there is the Scentsy culture, and we want to mirror that for you guys, the best of the best.
Yep.
And so we protect you guys in a way that says, no, these are our people, these are our babies, right? So we don't want to sometimes give you a peek at like what's going on.
We're like, just stay here in this safe culture that we can shield you from anything that's not that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
I don't know if we're doing you guys a disservice, but what I can tell you is that if we can implement the things that we believe to be true and continue to push that with passion, then we are going to help others see that, and it's going to help the culture as a whole. And it looks a lot like doing what we're already doing, to be honest, here on this team page, but
sharing it.
Right? Being the light.
Yeah.
Which is like the theme for our retreat in January, and it's Scentsy Sunshine for SFR, right? So there's so many nudges of what Scentsy wants represented, which is truly being a light. And there are so many leaders in Scentsy. There are so many of you who are just like beacons of light, beacons of light. And we want you guys to feel empowered to share that at a bigger level. And really put you not necessarily in the spotlight, but we really want to put you in a position where others get to see you doing that. And I think that that's what home office does really well. And maybe that's like the basis of this story is home office does a really good job at saying, no, but wait, you shine. Show others how you shine, because if you do that and you inspire somebody else to shine in their way, then it's going to inspire somebody else to shine, and all of a sudden you have a room glowing with people, right? I mean, Orville's talk about the campfire, it's like making room for everybody to feel the warmth. It's just there's just so many incredible like things that really just look like, how do we be the light, how do we choose to serve others when we don't feel like it, when it's going to take a little bit more effort. Right. And so with that, Dan talked about disrupting the industry. So Chuck did this thing about like where we started, and he kind of went back in history. It's our 20-year anniversary this year. So he kind of talked about like where Scentsy started, how far we've come, all those things. But then Dan said, I'm going to break down the Scentsy story basically into 3 points. And I also really love when Dan talks, because he's also very eloquent, and he's also very straightforward, and he's also funny, but he drives it home with such like conviction that I was really like, again, moved to tears, which is not surprising. So number one, he said, Heidi and Orville saw greatness in Scentsy. So when Heidi and Orville met, actually, Heidi didn't meet them till after Orville had already basically decided. But Orville, when he met Colette and Kara, what he saw was not what you guys see. Like Scentsy was not a direct sale company then, right? It was this alternative to candles that was on a very small scale. Like I don't even know how many it started out with back then, but so small. She was doing at trade shows, and Orville saw an opportunity. He saw the potential because he was I mean, he still is a businessman, and he was looking for the next opportunity, and he was looking for the potential in something. And
Mm.
he saw that in Colette and Kara, and he saw that in Scentsy, right? And so him and Heidi came together and agreed, and just by I mean, I don't believe in coincidences, but like God's miracle that they crossed paths and that deal happened because they actually shared that they didn't. Orville told Kara and Colette, "We can't afford to buy this from you."
Yeah, they traded, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were like, You'd have to give us this
Mhm.
because I'm $700,000 in debt. You're just gonna have to give me this and trust that we can
Mm.
grow this and we can make this happen." So there was a trust there, which goes back to what Deb was talking about, right? The culture that was created was first based off of trust and the
Mm.
belief, right?
Mm.
And the common goal to make Scentsy what it is now, and to what they believe can be what Scentsy will be in 20 years for our generations to come,
Mm.
right? Can you imagine? Like you meet this person and he's like, I have this huge dream of this company, and you've put all your money, all of your life savings, all of your time into investing in this. I have this vision. I can't afford to buy it from you. Will you give it to me? I mean, how many of you would say yes?
Mm.
Like, that takes a lot of trust.
Mhm.
I watch Shark Tank, so it's like they're investing money there, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, you can always earn more money, but it does not matter. Like, to be able to trust somebody, something so much. And I want to kind of go off here because I say this a lot now, and it's come from my experience of being close to home office. But here's the thing. Scentsy does a really great job of giving us insight and giving us answers, and Scentsy will always make it right. A lot of you have experienced something where you've gone, "Ooh, this didn't turn out the way that it was supposed to," and then you maybe have a seed of doubt, and then Scentsy turns around and makes it right. Somehow, some way, Scentsy makes it right. Most of you will believe that, and know that that's true, right? And so for me, I've seen it happen too many times to think that Scentsy a phony
Mhm.
or that they're not going to stay true to their word. So for me, I go 80% of the time, I trust and believe Scentsy will make it right. That other 20% of the time, I I just have to go out on my own faith. I just have to say, which doesn't happen very often. But
Right.
there are some things that are happen that they see from top down
Yeah.
and longevity wise, where you go, wait, there's
Right.
no context there. They can't give us context because they're making a business decision,
Mhm.
and that's their field, not ours.
Right.
Right. And so then you have to say, okay, I'm going to have faith. I'm
Mm.
going to have faith that they know what's best. Right. And so, whatever your percentage is, you're going to have to come to terms with that. And you're going to have to say, if I'm in, I'm in. And I'm going to believe because I know, because they've shown it,
Mhm.
that Sensei is going to do what's right. And then whatever I don't see, I'm going to have faith.
Mhm.
Right. And again, it's moving the purpose forward. So the second part of the Scentsy story that Dan talked about was they launched Scentsy as a direct selling company, and it disrupted the candle industry,
Mhm.
right? Because at the time, Scentsy was the only thing like it. There was no wax and warmers pre-Scentsy. Scentsy was the thing that disrupted the candle industry. There was
Mhm.
only candles, right? So imagine, most people are familiar with wickless options. Maybe it's not Scentsy wax and warmers, but there's wickless options out
Mhm.
there, right? So it's been very few and far between that I've had to explain that to people. So imagine walking up to somebody and being like, hey, because my mom was a candle person.
Yeah.
Remember walking, or imagine going up to somebody and being like, here's this flameless alternative, which flameless sounds appealing, but also, like,
Yeah, you're a skeptic.
yeah, you're
You're
a
like, I'm
skeptic.
plugging it in the wall.
Yeah. How is that not going to start a fire? Because the electrical wasn't as great as it was, that could be scary. And so then you're like, imagine having to talk people into that and proving that it's true, proving that it's good over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And then not only that, but then they're saying, okay, now we're going to enter the direct selling world
Mhm.
too. And we're not just going to take this company and run with it and make it some big, corporate
Yeah,
brick
box
and
store.
mortar box store. But instead, we're going to bless other people with the opportunity to take this business that we see so much passion in, that we see so much purpose in, that we see so much value in. We want to impact as many people as possible with it,
Mm.
and have them reap the benefits on the back end. Wild, wild.
Mhm.
Jennifer Martin said, when I joined in 2011, they were still new to Canada and people thought I was crazy. It was brand new in my area. Yeah, that's wild. So I'm sure you have
Yeah.
stories of people like
Crazy.
blowing you off, rolling their eyes, like completely uninterested.
Mhm.
Okay. But Orville saw a vision and he asked people to trust him. Deanie, Deanie Morehouse, first Scentsy consultant. There was trust there. Actually, he said that he called Deanie and was like, hey, can you come to this meeting with me? Like she was there before it was there. Like
Yeah.
that relationship has been a thing
So cool.
forever, right? And then Colette is still here. And what's also amazing to me and speaks volumes is that we have so many consultants that were there from the start. Carol
Yeah.
Bishop Couch, Dee Dee Morehouse, Colette, I forget a lot of people who were there, but so many people who
Yeah.
were there since the beginning
Mhm.
who are still here today, right? 20 years later, they're like, yep, nope, we're still in.
Yep.
This is still good. I still see the vision because it hasn't really changed that much.
Right.
Times have changed, culture has changed, society has changed, social media has changed.
Mhm.
But Scensy's vision, their mission statement has not changed. That's
Yeah.
been what it has been, and it has stayed true to what Orville and Heidi and Kara and Colette decided it would be.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
good.
yeah, so they disrupted the industry. So sometimes there is such a shift in something that it's cause for disruption. That was Dan's point. Is maybe we are at a time where we as Scentsy, you as leaders, us as consultants, need to step into what can we do to disrupt the industry again?
Mm.
How do we change it? How do we look completely different? How do we turn some heads? How do we, and not in a showboaty way, but how do we change the game?
Mhm.
What do we have to do? Right. And people were coming up with tons of really great ideas that look like technology changes, resource changes, all these things. But what I thought of was what if we just loved people well?
Mhm.
What if we just decided to serve people continuously, consistently? We just
Yeah.
decided that we were going to be in our servant era. Like
Yeah.
that was just our mantra. That was just what we were going to roll with. And you know why? Because it's been displayed to us time and time and time and time again. Home
Mhm.
office is a perfect example of servanthood.
Yeah.
And some of you don't have that experience, but if you have questions, you can call me. We can talk about it. If you trust me at all, you can call me and we can talk about it. I bet you can call Jennifer, you can call Alex. We can tell you about times where Scentsy has their servanthood was on display,
Mhm.
where they have loved us well despite us deserving it. Right? So to me, that's disrupting the industry.
Yeah. And I was
Right?
just thinking, like, even with Scentssy's core values,
Oh yeah.
simplicity, authenticity, and generosity. So if we can shake up the market in any way by leaning on those core
Yeah.
values, you
Yeah.
know, being a generous person, being authentic to who you are, because connection and relationship is so important. And doing it in a simple way where other people recognize it and then want to be a part of it. I really think it truly is
Yeah.
that simple, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And being a generous person, being a generous consultant is servanthood.
Yes.
And it
Yep.
and it looks different in so many ways.
Yep.
And that's what's great is each of you guys have a way that you can show up and serve and be generous to your team, to your customers, to the community as a whole. It's just again having faith and belief
Yep.
that this is towards the greater good. I am pushing forward for a greater good. Yes, for myself and my family, but also for my team and my Scentsy brothers and sisters that I walk alongside every day, you know?
Right.
And I think like that's such a simple but profound mindset shift, you know?
100%. 100%. And so we can come up with ideas all day long of like how to do that. And I'm happy to do that. We definitely should like create a thread or something and
Yeah.
like
Oh, I love
talk
that.
about it. One of the ways that I thought was really cool is one of my friends, also SSD, she said that her goal in May was to hand out 100 scent circles with her information on it and hand it out generously, like to whoever. And you may think, well, that's just getting your name out there. Yeah, that is part of the purpose, right? That is a little bit of a business mindset, but also She handed out 3 in the matter of 20 minutes on an airplane, and I was sitting right next to her. But and I was talking to people. I was mad that I did not have scent circles on me because those were my conversations, and she was handing out the scent circles, and I looked at her and was like, "You're amazing. Like, that is so smart."
Yeah.
It's being generous, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, everything that Alex just said, it can be so profound. And I don't know what everybody's belief is, like higher power or whatever, but I'll tell you what we believe is that when you bless others, God blesses you. And it may not be like monetarily, it may
Right.
not be like it's not like diamonds from the sky, but God is going to bless you. It may be after you die, it may be on judgment day, or maybe tomorrow you may get a check in the mail and it goes right back to God saying you were faithful, you were obedient in that moment.
Mhm.
And so whatever you believe, karma, whatever, when you choose to bless others out of the abundance of what you have, which again speaks to, this is going to have some of you, and I said this to leaders too, because a lot of SSDs are feeling burnt out right now,
Mhm.
right? And so this is why we go to SSD Summit, is to be filled up. I said in the beginning, this fills my cup, right? And it fills my cup to the point where now I'm overflowing, and
Mhm.
now I get to pour out of the love and the blessing and the serving and the faith that Sensei's poured into me. Now I get to pour that out onto you guys and onto the Sensei community. And so if you need to be filled up, get your butt to SFR.
Yes.
If you need to
For
get filled
sure.
up, get yourself in a team meeting
Mhm.
in person with people. Get
Mhm.
yourself at a home party. Get
Yep.
yourself finding the joy in your business again.
Yep.
Because when you are filled up, you overflow
Yep.
onto others.
Mhm.
Okay. And that goes back to like when you don't feel like it, sometimes you're not gonna feel like it.
Totally.
Okay. Um, but it's so important that we do it in those moments,
Yep.
regardless.
And like Tana said, one cent circle gave me 500 PRV this
Oh
month.
my
Okay. So it's
gosh.
like, okay,
Yeah.
yes, your generosity, but it's like also with that, it's like how filled up do you feel
Right.
from that, you
Right.
know?
Right. Yep.
Like, and then it overflows into wanting to share how you did that,
Right.
wanting to show up to team trainings, wanting to book more parties, wanting to grow your team, wanting to follow up with all these new customers.
Right.
Right. So, like those small wins or those small moments or big moments, like
Yeah.
going to Summit or
Yeah.
SFR, right? They make a difference and they are so impactful. But that's why I believe consistency is so important, right?
Yep.
That's why you have to stay consistent even when you don't want to do it,
Yes.
because it will circle back. And like I always tell myself when I'm burnt out, I'm like, it's fine.
Yep.
Like I know it will come back. Like I know it will circle back to where I'm feeling motivated and inspired. And it's usually from those small actions that fill my cup.
Yep.
So then I'm overflowing and I feel excited,
Yep. Yep.
And so it's just having that belief
Mhm.
and working towards that greater goal. Just like you said, it's interesting how it's like all of those things actually do land back on that,
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so the third part of the Scentsy story that Dan talked about was really cool because he showed a little clip from the movie Air. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie. I had not. But it's about them making the Air Jordans, I think. And it's like this really cool movie. It's from a while ago, a long time ago, I guess. Anyways, but there was a moment where they were like conflicted about the shoe, and they were talking about like the colors and stuff. And then one of the guys in the movie, it has a lot of stars in it actually. But anyways, one of the guys was like, the shoe is just a shoe until someone steps in it.
Mm.
Right. And so Dan made it a point to say, Scentsy is just a fragrance company until you step in it.
Mm.
Right. And to me, that was like, it was a little bit of an aha moment, even though I think we've talked about this tons of times. But the reality of it is that this company that you are representing was just Scentsy to your customers before you got involved.
Mhm.
It was just Scentsy
So
before
true.
you became a consultant, right? And now they look at Scentsy and go, "Oh, Tana's my girl. Tana's my Scentsy consultant.
Yeah.
Jessica's who I go to. She treats me so well. Scentsy is what I have in my home because of Norma."
Mhm.
Like Scentsy becomes tangible for your customers because of you,
Totally.
right? And then on the business side of it, Scentsy becomes the I want to be very careful on how I share this. Almost every single day, you guys, I get messages in my DM from other consultants telling me how I've inspired them, and even not even business related, but like I wouldn't know these people except for
Mhm.
Scentsy, right? So people who I've gotten to have the privilege of talking about Jesus with, or just any business aspect, kids, my journey as a police wife, like all of these people who I would have never met but for Scentsy.
Yep.
And likewise, people who've had impacts on me. I don't know that we would be as good as friends
Nope.
if it
I
wasn't
don't
for
think so.
Scentsy. Yeah. So like life-changing friendship here.
Mhm.
And I just think that like until you choose to step into this business with your whole heart, you're missing out on opportunities to not only impact people, but have people impact you.
Mhm.
And eh, I think that if you dig deep, you can find those moments and you lean on those and you say, I want more of that. And I'm selfish in that way. I look at it and go, I want to impact more people, not for me, but I just pray that it's doing something good for them.
Mhm.
Right. And so if you look at this company as just a way to earn the next paycheck, to buy the next set of groceries, to sell this wax bar, to get this out of your house, to do it, if you're looking at it like that, all of that is great. I know that we all have those little goals, but until you can invest in the Scentsy that Orville and Heidi see 20 years later,
Mhm.
and I recognize that some of you don't understand who they are, don't know them that well, but I want you to think of like the greatest people you
Mhm.
know. That's who Heidi and Orville are.
Mhm.
And I I think that it's just so important that you recognize your own worth in this company and
Mhm.
what you've brought to the table. And then when you're sitting there thinking about it, I want you to think about how you can shine that to others
Yeah.
and give that away, right? Because it's doing no good for you to keep your funny personality, your witty comments, the value that you have, the inspiring stories that you have about being a mom, or how Scentsy has changed this aspect of your life, or
Mhm.
brought you closer to your person, or has made friends with other people. It does you no good to keep that locked up in a box
Yeah.
and you're not sharing it,
Mhm.
right? So Scentsy is the vehicle, Scentsy is the mechanism in which you, Erica, in which you get to share who you are through this company, right? And impact potentially hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not your goal, maybe whatever. But the reality of it is that I sat next to people at SSD Summit who would have rather been like in bed, like crumpled up because they don't like the limelight, they don't like the attention on them, but they're there. And the impact that they have on me with the little tidbits that they say
Mhm.
could change my business,
Yep.
right? I have to take it a step further. But like those people have the biggest impacts on you.
Mhm.
And you could be sitting on that. I always think of that saying that's like, what if the cure to cancer is stuck inside of a brain that can't afford college?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like
Wow.
the same can be true for you. You have so much to give. And this fragrance company doesn't have to just be the means to an end.
Mhm.
The ends to a means to an end.
Yep. And so
It doesn't have to just be that for you. It doesn't just have to be a financial blessing. It can be the way
Mhm.
that you serve others around you. Um, and so in conclusion, um, my big takeaway from this summit is truly just looking at what our focus can be as a team and my role in it, right? Because I can't control everybody else. I can just only hope to share this with you and empower you in all of the ways that I've learned, and that uh, I don't care, doors wide open, you come up with it. I want to empower you in whatever walk you want to walk
Mhm.
in pushing this purpose forward, okay? But my heart in this is one pointed towards servanthood. I'm in a season where I am looking at how can I serve in all areas of my life, and my business needs that rejuvenation of that.
Mhm.
I know that I have fallen short, as we all will. We all do. We fall short of those things because our flesh gets in the way, and we misstep and we stumble. But you guys are gracious to me, and I hope to be gracious to you as well. But I'm looking at serving and I'm looking at empowering you guys. And so our focus for us and our dream team is creating a culture that drives others together with belief and with trust, right? Because you have to believe and you have to trust. And not just us. Don't just believe and trust us,
Yeah.
right? Take it a step further. Believe and trust in this company.
Mhm.
You signed up with them. You're an independent consultant under the Scentsy umbrella. So
Mhm.
put your belief and trust in them.
Yep.
Um, and that drives together belief and trust and a purpose that simultaneously breaks the mold. What does that look like?
Mhm.
How do we do that? What does that look like to you?
And I know for a lot of you guys, that is simply getting over the fear of
Yeah.
what other people think,
Yep.
okay, of being bold, of stepping into the passion that you probably already feel for this company, for these products, for this opportunity. But a lot of the time, a lot of what I hear is fear, fear to talk about it, fear to share boldly, fear to pour out your heart about this company. But I'm telling you guys that being vulnerable, it is okay to be afraid. Okay. But it's when that fear stops you, is that's where the disconnect is. That's where you take it back a few notches. We're instead stepping into that vulnerability. And I promise you guys, like 9 times out of 10, being completely vulnerable allows other people to be vulnerable back
Yeah.
to you. And again, it's that shining your light and allowing other people to receive it. And so for a lot of you guys, I think stepping into this really means stepping aside and putting your fear to the side, and being vulnerable in what in the passion that is already there. And I'll tell you, once you can do that and be consistent at being scared but doing it, your confidence is going to grow. And I believe your business in all areas of your Cincy business is also going to grow. That passion is going to grow because people are going to be receptive and excited. Okay. Your customers will be tuned in more, your audience will be locked in more, and that will help you overcome your fear. That will give you the confidence to step into the next thing, and be able to shine your light onto that area as well. And it's they say for a reason that like uh the other side of your comfort zone, like that's where growth
Yeah.
happens, and so I know that fear is a lot of what's stopping you guys. And I think we disguise fear with excuses, being too busy, or this happens or that happens, but I think it really comes down to fear of rejection, what other people think, being the Scentsy girl.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm telling you, like, it is a good thing to be a Scentsy girl. It is a awesome opportunity, and it is such a blessing. And so if you can shine your light outwards, you are going to bless other people with your vulnerability there. And so I just wanted to add that in because I
Yeah.
really do think that is like a huge roadblock.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that we can do those things and we can make a really great name for Scentsy, although that's not necessarily our responsibility, but we could make a really great name and it literally would take us leading with love,
Hmm.
right? So in your business, in your personal life, like literally I think the season that came before this moment where I was serving in other areas of my life with my church specifically and honing in on that has taught me a lot about how to step back into this and love people well,
Mm,
right? And especially if you yourself have gone through dark times, burnout, all those things, you can give to others what maybe you didn't get for yourself
mm,
or what you did get what somebody poured into you.
yeah.
And so that would be my encouragement paired with that, is just that's your default is leading
Hmm.
with love.
Hmm.
Love them anyways.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing right now is love them anyways. So I want you guys to be thinking about what that looks like to you. What
Hmm.
does that look like for you in your business? And you don't have to share it with us if you don't want to, especially not tonight, but like when we ask for it, you don't have to share it, but let me tell you there is something really empowering about accountability,
Hmm.
right? So when you share it, you say it out loud. You get a little bit of like, oh, somebody's going to hold me to it.
Yep.
Okay. So I want you guys to be thinking about what does it look like for you to lead with love, for you to take a position of servanthood, for you to learn how to empower people and lead well and get out of fear and step out of that comfort zone. Because your comfort zone was not meant to be lived in,
Mhm.
right? That chair that's really comfy in your house is not meant for you to spend all your time in. You
Mhm.
got to get up. You got to go somewhere else. You got to get out of your house. You got to talk to new people. Um, but if you can find a way to mold all of these things together, and we can focus on disrupting the industry, it's going to be a game changer.
I think so.
Scentsy is going to look completely different in the best possible way 20 years
Mhm.
from now. And my kids want to do Scentsy when they get
Mhm.
older. So it's like I want to, it's like making Alex is really passionate about like making the earth better than how we found it type
Mhm.
thing. Recycling and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, same concept. How do we leave Scentsy to our children better than when we stepped into it?
Mhm.
I don't want our culture to be disseminated
Yeah.
when that comes around. I don't want the culture to look different in a negative way. I want it to be better. So I want you guys to be thinking about that. We will circle back around to that in the next couple of days. We're going to have some pretty big asks of you here in
Mhm.
the next
Few days.
24 hours,
Yep.
probably.
Yep.
And we're going to need you guys to remember this and specifically step out of your fear,
Yep.
step out of your comfort zone, and really lean into the serving. We're going to ask some big things of you guys, and we know that it's going to be scary. Um, but you know what's also scary? Going to SSD Summit by myself,
Mhm.
because y'all know she's my right hand person. And I've gone to Summit by myself. I've gone to leaderships by myself.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Standing on a stage giving a speech, scary.
Yep.
You have to do those things though.
Yep.
You grow, you learn,
That's right,
and you
girl.
show other people how to shine in doing that. So
Yep.
we love you guys so
We do.
much.